In 2, in 1. Welcome everyone to another episode of Coffee and Whiteboard Markers. Joined by my co-host Sean Brentnell.
Choo-choo.
I'm Miles O'Kane. Look forward to taking you along for the ride. My man, it is week 3 now, term 4. Things that are going well and things that you possibly need to improve on.
Just probably what I need to improve is getting on top of the classes that I've missed because I've had my knee injury.
It's looking better at the moment.
It is. Everything's going well. Mm-hmm. We don't need to cover much more than that. But coming back after probably having 4 weeks off in total.
4 weeks off, wasn't it?
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's like a whole unit of work.
4 weeks can be a lot.
Yeah.
My energy's been dipping, Sean. Couple of...
Maybe that's because you're not eating, because you're going to the Pan Pacs.
Mate, now that you mention it, heading off to Pan Pacific Championships next week. Thursday for Jiu-Jitsu, mate. So, yeah, making sure we're staying on weight at the moment. So, I was saying to you earlier, woke up a kilo over. So, hoping by the time I get on plane on Thursday and weigh in for Friday, we're good to go. So,
and there's an email address that people can send their well wishes straight to the podcast, is there? Yes.
We'll work on that.
Yeah,
I
okay.
appreciate it. A little bit grumpy with the food, mate.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Anything that can keep me busy at the moment is good. My question to you, Sean Brentnell.
I had another point.
Sorry.
Year 11s and 12s are leaving. Year 12s are leaving.
Yep.
And then you get all the under ages coming up and finding like new positions and social.
Power back,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah, I had Judy who walk around, usually his year 12 spot, and usually I make it part of my rotation. They weren't there this time, and there's year 11 straight in there. As soon as they left, I was like, the power back.
And it's not always a negative thing. Like sometimes they change their personality,
but
it's just interesting.
My question to you, Sean Brentnell, are you a fan of slides?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Can you explain what slides are to our audience?
They are... no. What are their shoes without...
athletic thongs?
Athletic thongs.
Athletic thongs?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
That's the Australian thong, not the American version.
Yeah.
The reason I say that's weird. Sandals, but thongs.
Yeah, sandals is a good way to put it, without a toe thing.
I've got Nike slides, which look pretty athletic, I would have thought. So I was wearing them to our athletics carnival, a couple of weeks ago at school. I had 6 or 7 different students give me a hard time because I was wearing them without socks. And I went, what do you mean? And you got to wear them with socks these days. So I was like, I see it as a thong. I see it as a thong, but it's a bit more...
I thought that was a Kiwi thing.
I don't, but so it wasn't like all students came over together. So I'm out there on the 100 metres, timekeeper.
So they hadn't formed a union or anything like that?
No movement against me. I don't think so.
No.
It wasn't any backroom huddles. But they came across, and then throughout the day, on like 3 or 4 hour period, I had 6 different people to 7 go, you'll be wearing socks with me.
And did you start feeling like you should have gone home to get...
Self-conscious, yeah, straight away I did. I didn't tell them that, but you'd probably see it if you knew me.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what do you plan to do now? We're going to wear slides still, or just
stubborn man, mate.
ban the slides? Oh, okay.
I'll wear the slides.
Without socks.
But now every athletics carnival, I can't be seen to be backing down.
Yeah.
So I need to wear the slides from this point forward going. But it surprised me because when I was growing up, probably similar to you, people that wore socks with slides or thongs, I always thought were a bit peculiar.
Yeah. Well, I can't relate to that because I don't like slides, but Ugg boots. You wear socks in Ugg boots?
I don't.
Neither do I.
No.
But that's apparently a no-no.
You can't wear socks? No,
you're meant to wear socks so they don't smell.
So is it okay.
But then apparently if it's proper wool, they don't smell anyway.
So invest in the better brand.
Yes.
You don't even invest in socks. Today's episode team, we've touched on this topic briefly before. There might be some overlap with previous episodes. However, we're going to devote a whole episode to this topic. The topic is things that only teachers understand. I'm sure our listeners out there can relate to a few. Myself and Sean have been around for a couple of decades each in teaching. I've definitely made most mistakes in teaching. Sean's probably made 1 or 2. We've seen some other things happen, so by watching this episode, maybe you can steer away from making these mistakes yourself and get onto a more productive career.
So the aim is like to understand what the atmosphere, the environment, the ambiance is of day to day.
Yeah, so there's mistakes that we've learned through, and this is what we've learned to go through it.
Yeah.
First one. You know you're a teacher when you find yourself pushing in random chairs at every restaurant you visit. That might just be a me thing. I don't know, but I find it's getting worse when I'm more stressed as well. The need for conformity. I know you're going to bring it back to my OCD. I don't think it's necessarily that either. I think it's just for me, because my rationale is with students entering the class, if they see a clean and organised learning environment, that sets the tone.
Yeah.
So I think by putting that work in early, it creates less work for me later. But by doing that, I've routined my mind. Every time I see a chair out slightly anywhere now, I need to push it in.
I don't like when they leave chairs not pushed in at the end of a lesson.
Someone is untidy about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just little things like that. You can put a bit of work in early, and then just makes the lesson go easier.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting excited when there's no line to the photocopier.
Do you? Yes, that's a big one. There's nothing worse than I find you got nothing worse. You got all this photocopying to do, and then there's a massive line there. And I will make sure I get into work early, and then there'll be no one there. And the day I need to do like a decent amount of photocopying, suddenly people just rock up and need to do their photocopy.
Yeah, and then you ask them, "What are you doing this for the next lesson, or are you?" And they go, "No, this is for
the universe aspired us, mate.
Period 5 on Thursday." And you're like,
it's 7:30 on Monday.
That's excellent.
Trying not to laugh when a student says something completely inappropriate, but utterly hilarious. Now, we've talked earlier how we said we feel a little bit offended when students don't laugh at our masterpiece of jokes.
Or partners.
Or partners. Yeah. But I find that students will say stuff at the most, I don't know, at a certain time you're like, I can't laugh at this right now.
Yeah.
Because it'll let go of all my mystique and power.
I just laugh.
Is it a quick giggle?
Yeah, if it's not like offensive to anybody else in the... Like, if it's not a go at another student or anything like.
Well, I think if you do that and you can get back on task, the students don't appreciate it as well. The only thing that happens is then you feed their ego.
Yeah.
And they've got to be Mr. or Mrs. Stand Up for the whole period.
Yeah.
And you're trying to deal with that.
Yeah, but then they're hit and miss. Like you got to be efficient with your.
Yeah, well, they're putting that volume then. Aren't
Yeah,
they?
it's
not
not as good.
Hit, you can't just.
But also you have if maybe you make a joke or a student makes a joke, and there's only 2 or 3 kids that get it, and you sort of give each other that like.
Give it that way time.
Yeah.
Now the applause.
Yep.
What do you got? The things that only teachers understand.
Yeah. What do we got? Multitasking. So, when you get to work, it's go.
How busy is the classroom these days?
How busy is everything? Like even lunch.
Are you a good multitasker?
No.
I think you could be. I think it's just your focus at time lets you down a bit.
Yeah.
I think you could be a good multitasker.
I'm good at spontaneity and going with the flow, but multitasking. If I know that I have to do it, then I'll be efficient at it. But
so if you've got so you say you got 2 or 3 priorities you need to get done that day, you just have to focus on one, or you can go, I can get them all sort of worked on at the same time.
Oh no, I'd focus on one. But I'm the kind of person that would smash out a whole uni assignment in a night.
Okay. I can never do that.
Yeah.
I always need to have the different approach of bit by bit.
Yeah, no. I'll just go.
Yeah.
And then come back to it, make sure it's all right. Teaching there's a lot to do in a day.
Well, and that's what gets me, man. I try to explain to my friends that aren't teachers about what's it like to be a teacher, and unless you're in that classroom and seeing what's happening at every split second or what every second, you can't really explain it because there's so much happening. I had a pre-service teacher come and observe last week. Young fella, nice guy, but he said at the end of the lesson, he said, "Yeah, I can't. I've been doing teaching degree for 3 or 4 years now, whatever it was."
Yeah.
It's until you get into the classroom, you realise there's so much going on. And it changes day to day.
When you're starting out, you're probably actively thinking about where you're going with your lesson and that, and sticking to a lesson plan. You know what I mean? Like you've got to hit the points. Yeah. No, not necessarily, but like I've got to cover this point and this point and this point. Whereas when you get a bit more experience, you sort of.
When your first
maybe not in maths, but definitely in English.
Your first term of teaching.
Yeah.
What surprised you more? The lessons went faster or slower than you thought they would have?
Faster.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I was faster as well.
They tend to go slower when you're in your head and going, oh, this isn't working, or I can't do anything about this kid.
You go down that spiral.
Yeah.
But I'd find that it's be quite well planned, and then suddenly my whole lesson's done in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Yeah, but that's usually because you've misjudged where they're at, and they've done the start intro stuff real quickly because it's easy, maybe. Yes. What else we got, mate?
Time that goes into how do you setting plans for lower school classes?
Well, yes. Now,
I'll give them when I first start of the year. I'll give them a couple of weeks just to sit where they want.
Yeah.
Unless they're really frustrated, they have to move kids straight away. I'll give them a couple of weeks to sit where they want. So there's two things: it gives you an idea of who their friends are, and then second of all, it lets them have a bit of power, I guess, to start with. But
they want to come to your class more when they're sitting where they want.
And engagement and stuff. Like that can.
But you got to. I think you go till there's a line where it's not working anymore, and that's where they're taking the piss kind of thing. That's when I move them.
Yeah. And how often are you tweaking seating plans?
All the time.
Yeah. So I especially with harder classes, and it's not just moving the whole class. We're moving a couple of students here and there. The other thing it's interesting as well is the drama that can happen between students as well outside of class. So they can be best friends for whatever most of the year, and then something happens, and then suddenly, sir, I need to move, and you're like, hold on, you're just best mates.
Yeah.
Why am I doing? As much as you want to, it's hard.
You can identify that with boys more than you can with the girls.
I say the other way around.
Oh, really?
My experience the other way around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it might just be the schools we've worked at.
It might be the age as well.
But where I find it a pickle, man, is you've got whatever the drama is, Sarah, I need to move away from this. But
that's very sensible. That's pretty mature.
No, but that's the thing. It is mature, and you, as the teacher, you're providing that safe environment, very much so. But there's the resilience aspect as well. As here's a drama, you can't just not run away from it. But then you look at, you're probably right, it is maturity. They've come to you, they've asked and been proactive about it. Yeah. So you probably, I see it coming.
That's one thing that parents always ask you when you have parent-teacher interviews, or where does he sit in class, or can he be moved to close to the board, or away from this person or that person?
Yes. So when you don't arrange students and seating plans, do you get many students sitting in the front row?
No, but I don't let them sit in the back.
So it's just all middle congestion.
I say, you can sit where you want, but not at the back.
I use the front.
Yeah.
Roll or two to sit on. Sometimes when I'm teaching as well.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sometimes it feels like a more casual approach.
Yeah. Sometimes I turn a chair around and I sit like that.
Yeah, which is very like cliche.
And I riff.
Cliche movies.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the students respect it more.
Yeah.
By sitting there and go, okay, doesn't need to be this.
You also know why I do it, because I'm so much more deaf than I used to be, and I can't actually hear them if they're at the back.
So it's the thing, isn't it? So I often talk to my partner about this. She'll turn on TV after I've been listening to it, and it's all the way up. Or she'll jump in my car and the radio's all the way up. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm a teacher. She doesn't understand that. Teaching for 15 years, your hearing goes bad. Yeah. And then I've talked about it in previous episodes. My mum was a teacher. I used to jump in her car when I was younger.
You reckon it's a teacher thing?
And it'd be crazy. I'd be listening to this, I was like, far out, this is so loud. Yeah. But now I'm a teacher, I understand it.
Yeah. It could be just cranking tunes on a Friday afternoon.
Well, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be. You can decipher any form of student handwriting.
Oh, I've got some bad ones. But do you notice in maths?
I can't see, this is a delicate subject for me, because my handwriting's so bad, man. And I keep telling myself I need to work. Even my board writing these days still is crooked and stuff.
Mine's still elite.
So my department is mostly older men who have all got impeccable handwriting. Yeah. So Fridays we've all got our own classrooms, and usually we're very heavy on the board work set up to start with. I'll walk around and have a look at the classes quickly. All their handwriting's immaculate, man. Then I look at my class, I'm like, this is just not leading by example, right?
Oh, you're lucky you're teaching the right subject. So their handwriting, does that show up in their maths work, or is it just in general?
Usually you can get through, man, with their working.
It's more about setting out.
But if there's an extended answer, or like for statistics, it's an investigative piece, write a paragraph or something, it can be pretty heavy.
Does it really annoy you when they don't put the numbers in the decimal place?
That annoys me more than missing out a comma somewhere.
Yeah.
Where I imagine you'd be the other way around.
Yeah. Everything annoys me.
I don't think it does, though. I think it's a bit hard on yourself.
It does a little bit. What else we got?
Things that teachers understand. What do you got, Shawnee B?
They give you a hard time. I know we've talked about that a lot, actually. I just think that what you need to understand is that how much time you spend with your classes.
Yep.
Like that's something that you might not think of when you're thinking about entering teaching, but you're spending 4 hours a week.
Yep. That's
how many hours of term?
Yeah. Well, 4 times. So
yeah, and how many is that over 6 years? I've done the maths already.
So so working off 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
10-week terms.
Yeah.
So 4 times 10 is 40.
Yep.
4 times 40 is 160.
We could edit this later.
160.
Yep.
And then 160 times 6.
Yep.
100 times 6 is 600. 60 times 6 is
960.
960.
Yeah. So don't they say that you need to put 1,000 hours into to master something?
10,000 hours.
Well, there you go. So you're a tenth of the way there. No, but like that's a lot of time.
No, it is. 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell did a book on that. Outliers, which I listened to recently on Audible. It was really good. 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
It's not just a sport. It talks about sort of
any skill. Yeah.
Any skill.
Yeah.
It is. And it's funny, especially in like fighters and stuff in the UFC. They'll start to hit their peak around 10 years.
Yeah, right.
So they'll go from almost
10
like
years.
not making it to hitting like their breakthrough point.
Yeah.
10 years. Oh, not in the UFC. I was like doing mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
How many hours do you reckon you've taught?
16 years. Yeah, so a bit more than 960.
Yeah. So you've done over your 10,000 hours.
So would I say I'm a master yet? Far from, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, my point though was how much time you spend with the actual kids. Like.
Yeah.
So you actually do. You spend most of your day with your students. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know them. They exist in your class. Their personality, their how they are in your class, it would be different to how they are in any other environment around the school. Other classes, lunch, before school, after school.
No, and I think we've mentioned it before. Like I find interesting as a head department, if I'm walking around the school and see a student that I teach in a different class, and they pull that student out, it can be very different dynamics.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting.
Yeah.
And I know that Jodie's touched on it before. Said that you can see students outside of the class doing the wrong thing. But you can't always. You got to let other people jump in and help them out as well. Exactly. Which can be tough.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make is that like within your class, that dynamic is like a little mini ecosystem, isn't it?
It is.
Like you have their, because the way they interact with each other as well, the way they sit, their ability in your subject, their attitude that day, all that stuff you're taking into account and there's no outside effect when they're in your class.
And I think to go further with that, I think maybe, especially, so you're the teacher in that situation, is to see them actually to get something, or see them change as well. Like I like seeing the harder students that I've taught to start with the attitude, and you'll fight those battles, and it'll be frustrating, but then it'll come through and actually they'll start being, the behaviour's better.
Sure.
You actually start having conversations with them.
Yeah.
The maturity stuff.
But it does go the other way.
It can go the other way.
Where they're just completely, like usually about the start of year 10 for boys, and they just completely disengage.
I find the attendance these days as well.
I was going to talk about that too.
Sorry.
No, but go.
I find like it's man. Like I've got 30 students on my year 9 list. I haven't seen 10 of them. Yeah,
but it's not just that. There's I wrote down how many kids in your class. I think there's probably 2 in my classes that have been to 90% of the days. But 90% attendance.
Right.
So everybody else is under 90%.
And they say that, don't they? If you miss one day a week,
lose
a year or something, you're losing a year.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
And that just makes your teaching so much harder because you got a kid that's missing, like, on average, 1 day a fortnight, probably.
Yeah.
Like, and that's regular.
Yeah.
Like, that's normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, especially I find the start of the term as well, you get students rock up for the first couple of weeks who you haven't necessarily seen since the start of last term.
Yeah.
But then they'll come and then see their friends and then you don't see them again
the
whole term.
Yeah,
so
and
you still provide an educational experience for them.
Yep.
But they miss out on 10 weeks consecutive lessons. Where do you go with it?
Also get new students probably once a term.
I'm going to few new students.
Like they just come in week 6 on term 3 and you're like,
yeah, reports are due week 8.
Yeah. That's great.
That's another word. Okay, let's go with that one. I'll write that down somewhere. Hold up.
Yeah, getting given things to do. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah. So as a teacher, you won't always be included in decisions that directly affect you. So something like that, you get it, and there can be students coming in late and stuff, but you'll just be told something which directly affects you after it actually happened. And hold on, it would be nice to have a little bit of even if it doesn't happen anyway, but at least you got input in the situation. I just find the teachers are the ones in the classroom. They should be, if most times, if not all the time, the center oracle of information. Yeah,
well, that's what I was getting at with the previous point as well. Is like you're the only person that knows what's going on in your classroom.
Yeah, and
it's all contained to your classroom, so you should be making most of the decisions. But when they do that, they give you these things, these benchmarks to hit, or things that you need to do for the school.
Yeah.
You usually comply, and like 80% of them don't really worry your day. But No, you disagree with
No,
that?
as in you used to give them more tasks, like
Yeah.
more busy work.
Oh, not even just like assemblies or excursions or national tests,
Yep.
things like that.
Yep.
Like we had parent-teacher interviews in week 6 of term 1 this year.
Yes.
And we had to send out progress reports. So you send out progress reports. They've only done like 1.5 tasks.
So how well do you actually know the student?
I don't even know them. And the work that they handed in, maybe they weren't very good at that strand of work.
Parents are coming in. Yeah.
So that kind of thing is, but you just roll with that because you have to. But then again, that doesn't change your little ecosystem within your class. That's what I find.
Do you have a teacher voice?
Yeah.
Inside the classroom?
Yep.
Just deeper and more direct?
Calmer as well. Yeah.
But you strike me as quite a calm person outside the classroom as well.
Yeah. But use it as a bit of a weapon, I suppose.
Do you have a teacher voice outside the classroom?
Yes.
Still?
Yeah.
Are you wary of it?
Yeah.
Did your missus... So my wife will often tell me about it. I thought it was done. I know when my first 5 years of teaching, definitely, and was almost like... even before I started saying something to my mates who weren't teachers, I knew it was about to come out. And then went through a self-conscious patch for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I thought I was through it.
Do you mean like sort of giving them instructions on what to do?
When I try to explain stuff, but I think I got overboard by breaking everything down.
Yeah.
But I know if I don't do it, if it's in the classroom, I've got to re-explain everything 48 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you just nail it the first time. And that's another thing that frustrates me for people who aren't teachers trying to teach me something. And they'll be like, yeah, just do this, this and this and it'll work. I'm like, and then it doesn't work. And you're like, well, it's not me thing. Like,
or they're trying to explain a concept to, but you already know the foundations, but they still want to talk through it all. And you're like,
yeah, I get it. You like talking.
Come on.
Let's go this.
Yeah.
There's 20 out of 9 students here. They'd be out of control
yeah.
right now.
But I'm like, specifically teenagers misbehaving in like shopping centres or something. So if they're riding their skateboards inside...
Do you tell them off?
I want to.
Yeah.
I get very close. I pretty much will just give them like an extended stare as I walk past.
The stare is powerful.
Yeah.
The stare was...
Yeah.
I was on public transport the other day and was not staring down, but giving the group of about 4 or 5 adolescents to stare a bit. And whatever, they look at you and they get into the groups and say stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, the teacher side does come out.
I've got a great story about that. I was in KFC after school once, ordering my food.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of students they were like year 11 or 12, in their uniforms, and they'd already ordered their food.
Yeah.
And they were eating, and I was waiting for my food, so I'm standing near the counter, and they're off to my left at a table.
Yeah.
So one bloke, he was pretty big, he was bigger than me, finished his food and tried to chuck his wrapper across the whole sort of lobby into the bin, like across the other side of the room.
They've seen you? Haven't seen you yet?
No, I was there.
Right.
Like there was like 3 or 4 people waiting for their food.
Right.
So he's throwing it across us, and it sort of landed at my feet. And I've like looked at the rubbish and looked at him, and then looked at the rubbish, and then looked at him, and like just kept staring at him. And then he sort of like sheepishly, after a minute,
I went and got it.
got up,
Yeah,
walked past me, picked up the rubbish, put it in the bin.
Sean.
Yeah.
Well done.
And then what do you do after that?
What do you do after that?
You just don't say anything. You just
act
like it didn't happen.
Didn't talk about it at school or anything?
No, I didn't know him.
This
is in public.
School.
Yeah.
Jeez,
This is inside KFC.
Yeah.
Miles is obviously thinking about something else because he didn't listen to that story. What do you got?
No, I did. I heard in uniform, and then I was thinking about the stare. Stare can be important at times, and I think that as you're doing it, looking at the piece of paper or whatever it was, the wrapper, and looking back, it's just
There is, I think, you have a power when you're a teacher, like if that was just a general stare from a mum, they'd go like whatever.
Yeah.
But they could mesmerise.
Do you reckon you've perfected your stare these days?
Yeah, I've got different stares, and there's multiple. Yeah, I do.
Do you really?
Yeah, I've got like, what are you doing, you stare?
All eyes on me about the teach stare.
Yeah, you're joking stare. Like, are you kidding yourself?
You're gonna do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's yeah.
2. Well, we got 1 more each.
Yep, I've got one.
Go.
I think that the amount of time, because you spend so much time with them, you really are the only people in society that understand that their generation is different to how our generation. You get to know the social context and the cultural context, and
and I asked my parents to say all the time growing up, your generation's slacker or whatever. I can being around these students at the time and generation, you get a feel for what's going on.
Yeah.
And you do, and you start when people make these comments online or whatever it happens to be in the news, you can start to see both sides of the story, I guess.
Definitely, and they all kids are not arrogant and aloof and ignorant.
It's not a bad thing to hear about, is it?
Nah, they don't mean to lose their password. They just don't.
So many passwords.
You know,
so many.
Kids can do all bunch of stuff. They grew up with IT, but they can't send an email. It's incredible.
I'll log in.
Yeah. Yeah. What else you got, mate?
Last one, go with a bang, hey? How do you go with the flu these days?
I actually had the
flu jab?
That last one was the RS. What is it? RS or VS? I think I had that. I had a fever after I had my knee surgery.
Okay, right.
So I was actually quite sick. I was probably coughing for a month.
I, for years, man, didn't get the flu. Had like a 5-year batch, where it was just fine. And then when I finally did get the flu again, it was just like a whole new level, man. That was before COVID broke out.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is nuts. Whereas nowadays, like I used to try avoid it at all costs. These days, I'm just like,
so what you're saying is that teachers are more susceptible to it because we teach.
Is it a rundown thing though? Do you reckon because teachers are working so hard?
I think so. Yeah. But also, dirty teenagers. They're not as sanitary as adults, are they?
No.
But you'll find when your daughter starts going to daycare, mate, then you'll actually get really sick.
Daughter been starting to go to daycare, right?
Yeah.
4 months ago, Sean. And we were sick for all that time, man.
Yeah.
And you get better and get sick again. Episode wrap up.
You know what's sick? Teaching.
Teaching is sick. And it's definitely a worthwhile profession, team. So any new teachers out there, please make sure any questions get in contact with us. We'd much appreciate it. Sean Brentnell, thank you for your time.
O-Train.
Looking forward to the next episode.
Go kick some faces in.
Thanks again, guys.